The different sub part of this AHU, they are located in a particular zone or room called as variable air volume. So what is variable air volume? You can see the animated diagram of this. This is the main duct. Okay, this is the main duct, and for example, this is one zone where this particular unit is located. You can see that this unit is again sub unit of air handling unit. You can see some part of this air handling unit. There is some type of damper type of thing located here in this part, so that again there is a damper and that arrangement. There may be, you can see here again one type of coil type of construction is there, and some type of control mechanism. Here you can see some type of sort of control mechanism is also there. So this particular subsystem is to individually develop for that room how much comfort required for that particular room. Based on that, individually we can control that room temperature depending on the comfortness required. So that there is a controller here, there is a controller, there is a damper, there are coils again. So this is again the sub part of this, so that it is called as variable air volume. Actually, these VAV systems are very common in offices. The main purpose is that VAV systems supply variable airflow. Variable airflow means that the flow we can control, so that it is called variable airflow, but at constant temperature. The airflow we can change, but the temperature is remain constant. So VAV stands for variable airflow, means not at different temperature but at constant temperature. On the other side, there is a CAV also. What is difference between CAV and VAV? CAV supply constant airflow, VAV supply variable airflow. Other side, CAV supply constant airflow at variable temperature. In that case, the temperature is variable, but the supplies remain constant. This is the main difference between VAV and CAV. As this system is common in different types of offices, rooms, buildings, this is why, because there are more energy efficient. This system is more energy efficient compared to CAV. CAV are not popular. That is again another type of model replaced by VAV. That is constant air volume, and they can also allow zoning in the building. Means this is possible to have zoning. You can see that these particular things are again divided into different zones also. That is possible in a room, and really these things are very small in nature, so that we can say that they are very handy, right, and very small in nature, and depending on the requirement of heat load, they can modify the requirements. With such VAV system, we will able to control the amount of cooling. Means main purpose is to control the amount of cooling, but possibly we can also control the heating into each individual room. Okay, because the main duct, this is the main duct. The main duct provide constant things. Okay, the things are, when the things are entered here from the AHU, the value, the parameters are not changeable. Okay, the parameters we can only change at the dampers and that level, but once this enters in this particular duct, the parameters are not going to be changed. So to change the parameters of individual room, VAV plays very important role. So this is what we can say, that actually the sub part of AHU. In this, we can say that it can provide about 13 degrees Celsius temperature can also be to be controlled with the help of VAV. That is also possible. If I will going to read this particular sentence, it will be clear to you. VAV stands for variable air volume. VAV systems are very common in offices. This is because they are much more energy efficient compared to the CAV systems. VAV allows zoning within the building. That's ideal for the most situations, because every room in the building will experience slightly different heating or cooling load. That I already explained to you. So this, very broadly we can say that the ventilation in building can be classified as a natural or mechanical ventilation. So natural ventilation, mechanical ventilation. Mechanical ventilation system can also include heating, cooling, humidity control. So there are two parts of air volume systems, we can say mechanical and natural. In mechanical, it is possible to control the heating, cooling as well as humidity control. These three types of control as well as air filtration is also possible. The functions are often described collectively as HVAC. Means this is the part of HVAC that we know very well. Within means the inputs, inlets are that are actually coming from the HVAC system that is located outside the building. Actually, HVAC plant is located outside the building. From that, the chiller output and that boiler output is provided to this VAV or AHU. AHU cooling coil as well as heating coil. Within this system, ventilation and temperature can be regulated either by variable air volume, in which the temperature of the supply air remains constant but the volume varies. So that it is also known as variable air constant also. Variable air constant temperature, VVCT, means variable volume constant temperature, VVCT. Constant air volume, CAV, on the other hand, they has a constant air volume but their temperature varies, so that systems are called as CVVT, constant air volume variable temperature. On the other side, variable volume variable temperature is also there. That type of classification is called as VVVT. In that case, the air volume is also variable, temperature is also variable. So these are the three main classifications we can say for these systems, subsystems. So actual, you can see where the VAV are located. You can see here, this is VAV located. Here also the VAV located. Here also the VAV located. And then it can be have the sub zoning. This is the duct. This is the return, and this particular is the AHU. Now we are well familiar with this. Now you can see clearly where the VAV are located. This the AHU is seated in the mechanical plant room, right? We know that this AHU part is actually connected to the chillers, and that coming of this are two ducts, the supply duct and the return duct. This I already explained you, and the main purpose is to around control 13 degrees of Celsius, okay, or we can otherwise we can say 55 degree of Fahrenheit. Yes, the main difference in VAV system compared to CAV system is the VAV terminal. What that small block is called as VAV terminal actually. This is located just on the branch coming off the main duct. Each VAV box serve as a certain zone. So this particularly considered as a separate part for a zone. The VAV box is connected via the cables to the thermostat which is located within the room. So to measure the temperature of that particular room, the thermostat is connected and the output of that thermostat is connected to the controller of VAV box or a zone. The thermostat will indicate to the VAV terminal if it need to increase or decrease the flow rate to meet the cooling demands. As this VAV will not going to be change the supply the variable temperature, but it will going to be supply the variable air volume. So based on increasing the air volume rate or decreasing the air volume rate, the cooling demand can be adjusted inside the room, and that can be detected by the thermostat that is actually located in the room or that zone. We can see it's a pretty basic box that I already shown you. There is nothing too complex happening inside this. We have to control, there is a controller also located or mounted on that actuator. The actuator controls and rotates the shaft which can be connected to the damper. Means the main purpose of that controller box is that, so that output of that controller is given to the damper. In damper there is a shaft. Okay, with the help of that rotating shaft, we can control the air volume change or air volume rate. The damper can be modulated its position to control the airflow rate and thus the amount of air entering into terminal blocks and into that particular zones. So now it can be very clear that what is the main purpose of this air volume. In air volume is a very small box. In that blocks, I already said there is a damper, but that is not mechanical damper. This is the control damper. Yes, basic structure is mechanical, but it is controlled by the controller, and the input to that controller is coming from the room with the help of thermostat, right? And by the requirement, as per the requirement, the actuator will work, that is located in the damper, and it will allow the variable air volume inside the room to adjust the inside temperature. So this is the actual diagram. You can see this damper now very clearly by this particular slide. And here there is actuator. You can see mentioned here the actuator. The actuator, the output, the input to the actuator is given by the controller, and input to the controller is from the thermostat. You can see here it can adjust the amount of inlet to the air that is coming from the duct. And here you can see if required there is a reheater also. The requirement, as per the requirement of the inside room, the reheater can also be controlled by the controller. So two types of things can be controlled here, either the rate of the air volume, that is controlled by the help of damper, and second thing, the reheater can also be controlled. So same thing is mentioned here in this theory part. You can see more clearly how the damper is look like in this particular slide. This damper is different than the damper that we seen in the very AHU, air handling unit damper. That dampers and their controller is different, and this particular, because this is very small unit, so that this damper construction is different than that. And this is the controller part. This is the coil part of this. Basically there are some small pinholes on the front and also on the back side of the tubes. If you imagine the supply air coming in and hitting the front side, then it's going to impact on the surface and cause pressure. Therefore the front is going to have a high pressure. Means front means this side. This is the front side of this, and this is the back side of this particular damper. Have a high pressure side, and the back side will be a low pressure point. You can find the differential pressure across the device, and if you average that for the size of the duct and calibrate it, then you can calculate the flow rate of the air entering into that box. Means how the air flow is calculated, that is based on the pressure difference in the inlet side and in the outlet side, like our DPT, it can be measured. To combat this, we will find a pressure sensor in the main duct. I have shown the pressure sensor is also there in the duct place. Why that things are mentioned there, that is actually highlighted here. And the motor that is mentioned there are two types of motor that can be also replaced by VSD, VFD, variable frequency drive. So that motors that mentioned before the duct, you know, that can be also replaced by variable frequency drive type of things. So this is actually the discussion of the duct things before the VAV. Before the VAV, what part is there, that is mentioned in this particular slide. There is a pressure sensor to measure the differential pressure inside duct, that is actually in the duct side, and before that there is a controlling is possible with the help of VFD. VFD is also connected there.